QPR will be looking for a first win in 4 league matches and a first win at home when back-to-back winners Hull City arrive at Loftus Road on Tuesday evening. So in this video, I'm joined by Ant from the To Hull and Back podcast to talk us through how the Tigers season has gone so far. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, and let's get straight into it. Morning, Ant. How are you?
Morning, mate. I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. You happy after yesterday's result?
Yes, very. I think the season for us has just completely changed now after 2 back-to-back wins. There's positivity and optimism, which was sorely lacking earlier on in the season. So yeah, it was a big win for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you say, it's taken Hull City a while to get off the mark, but now it's those back-to-back 3-1 and 4-1 wins against Stoke and Cardiff. So what do you think the problem was in the first few games? Is it kind of teething issues? Is it getting used to the new manager, new players?
It's probably a mixture of everything because obviously we had such a high turnover of players in the summer. We lost over 20, with being sold or loan players going back, players released. And we brought in, I think, 17, 18 new players now. When you change so many of your playing staff as well as your coaching staff, it is unsettling for the club. And I think, expectations were high because of where we finished last season. And then, we've got brand new styles to try and play and a huge set of new players to try and incorporate in. But I think the main thing was that in our transfer window, we did all of our business too late. So it's all well and good doing a huge sort of squad turnover like we did, but if you do it earlier on in the window and let the manager and the players have a full pre-season together, then it tends to work out okay. With us, we played 3 or 4 competitive games before we were even making decent amounts of signings. So the pressure's on immediately for players to then instantly hit the ground running in new countries for a lot of players and playing with players they've never played with and forming partnerships. And without the friendlies, without the training, without the getting to know each other, it was clearly not working. And then we've had the international break, which came at a really good time for us. Obviously, that 2 weeks uninterrupted. And since then, we've looked a lot better. So, yeah, hopefully now this is the version of the system that he wants to play. And I still feel like there's a lot of teething issues to get through. But we're scoring goals and we're winning games at the minute. So as long as we can keep getting points on the board whilst they sort of learn the system better, then I think we can have a good season.
Yeah, makes sense. And what are your thoughts on sort of Tim Walter so far, or is that too early to say?
Um, it's perhaps too early. I mean, I like him as a manager. I think I like how expressive he is on the touchline. If something happens that he didn't want to happen, you know about it, you can see it. He's very honest in his interviews. He knows exactly what he wants to play, and he knows that the players still aren't there yet. So he'll tell us as fans, this is what it is. It will get better. My style's difficult to learn, things like that. I like the way that he's really proactive with his substitutions. Like with Rosini last season, one of my biggest issues with him was the timing of substitutions, or even the substitutions themselves would be either the wrong player or the wrong time or too late. Whereas Volta's quite happy to hook players at half time if they're not performing. He'll take them off at 60 minutes, if it's still not working. And he makes changes purely to change the game. And I think as fans, you want to see that because you want to see if it's not working, that we're trying to make it work in that sense. So I do think that the blueprints are there for a style that works for us. Like we say now, obviously the last couple of games are starting to get goals on the record, which was the problem before the Stoke game was we just weren't scoring goals, and obviously now 7 in the last 2. Hopefully alleviates a few of those concerns and shows that the players are starting to understand what's being asked of them. So yeah, I like Walter as a manager. I think he'll come good. I think he'll be good for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that sort of busy transfer window. How
Yeah.
satisfied are you with the business that you've done, or is there any area in the squad that you feel that you're kind of lacking in?
I think if you take sort of like the timings of some of the transfers out of the equation, obviously a lot of it was done far too late. But I think we've had a really good window in the sense we've actually gone for like permanent signings last season. A lot of our spine and main players were loanees, which obviously now we're suffering the consequences for because you don't keep loan players, or at least the ones that we had like Cavalier and Delap and players like that. You were never going to be able to buy them at the end of their deals because they're just far too much money. But this season we've gone down a different route. We've tried to recruit players that are young, that have got high potential, that could be with us for a few years, but then make us money. And any of the loans that we do get, we've got options to buy. So if they are decent players, we can buy them in the summer for a pre-agreed price. I think the only criticism we'd have is that we didn't really bring in an experienced guaranteed goal scorer at this level. I know we did try. We tried to get Kiefer Moore, and he ended up choosing Sheffield United. We tried to get Thomas Asante, and he chose Coventry. And we went in really late for Datro Fofana and is it David Washington. So we did go in for a few strikers, and it just never really got over the line. I think that's the one missing piece to the puzzle that we all thought might come back and bite us. But we brought in João Pedro now on a free, so that we've got the three strikers to choose from, which gives us depth that we needed because we only had Bedir and Burster, and Burster's young, so it would be a tough ask if Bedir was to get injured for him to leave the line. But ultimately, I think the transfer business has been good. It just needed to be done earlier, and we needed a striker. But yeah, I'd rate it a nice solid 7 out of 10, I think.
Yeah, yeah, nice one. And so what are your expectations for this season then? Obviously, it was a lot, it was a narrow miss under Rosinya last season. You've had that big rebuild. What are your expectations and sort of the fans more generally?
Um, I don't know. I feel like there's a split. I think there's a bit of realism in the fan base that this squad isn't as good as last year, so we can't really be expecting to be challenging for the top six with a worse set of players. Well, we say worse, we don't know yet because we've not really had enough games with a lot of them. The squad we had last year was fantastic. You look at the likes of Philogene, Cavallo, Delap, Jacob Greaves, Talamore, and it was just such a good team. And to narrowly miss out on the top six, I think was a real sore issue for probably the manager and the owner. Obviously, he ended up getting rid of Rosinia. But this season, I would probably say, with it being such a rebuild, realistically, we would probably want to be in the top half. I think would be the aim, mid table, something safe. Give us a foundation to build on, see where we are in January, or just have a season of consolidation, getting used to Volta's style and getting these players bedded in properly, and then go for it maybe a bit better next year. But yeah, I don't realistically see us challenging the top six this year. I just think the style leaves us a bit too vulnerable on the counter attack, and like I say, over the course of this year, it's gonna take a lot of getting used to. So I think with Championship being as ruthless as it is, you don't really have time to adjust to these sort of new tactics and new systems without going through a bit of adversity first in this league, and it can be unforgiving. So yeah, I'd take a nice, safe, non-busy mid-table, just make the numbers up kind of season and go for it next year. But there will be fans that obviously weren't too pleased with Rosinia's sacking that probably think we should be going for the top six. If you're going to sack a manager who just finished outside them, clearly you want better, you want progress. So anything less than seventh in their eyes would be a failure. But yeah, I mean, you've got to just look at the quality of the players we have. We've got good players, but probably not to the same standard as last year.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So speaking of those players, who are the sort of danger men for Hull City right now? Who should we be worried about on Tuesday night?
Well, we're still finding that out, to be fair. I think it's clear from the start of the season. Liam Miller, obviously, was with Preston last year, and he was a really good player for them. He's been really good and bright for us. He's yet to score, but I think he's got 3 assists. It's not for the want of trying. He's had a few good chances. He's been denied by a couple of good saves and blasted a couple over. But yeah, he's looked really dangerous. Balloumi got a brace against Cardiff, who we've just played. He looks a good find. Abu Kamara, we brought in from Portsmouth, he got 10 goals, 11 assists, I think, for Pompey last season. We've got players in there that are dangerous. Abdish Omer is one of our we expected him to be the main man this season in terms of creating and being sort of our creative outlet. It's not really happened for him so far, but I feel like it's a matter of time before it clicks for him. But yeah, I think we've got goals all over the pitch, which is going to be important because we don't really have, like we say, that consistent number 9 goal scorer that most teams have. We're going to need players to pip in from all over the pitch, and I think our danger comes from out wide. So we've got a good selection of wingers to choose from. So I'd probably say either of the wingers.
Great, thank you. Well, it was a win apiece last season for QPR and Hull City, both at our home grounds. So to round us off, let's get your score prediction for Tuesday night.
Yeah, we never win at QPR. I'm not best optimistic. But I'm going to think that with the current momentum that we're on and the direction that we're trying to go into, that we're going to go there and try and undo undo the hoodoo if we can. But no, I'm going to stay safe. I'll go for a 1-1 draw, I think.
Okay, thanks, Ant. Well, cheers for joining this morning and good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me on.
Big thank you once again to Ant for joining this preview video, and do make sure to check out the To Whole and Back podcast via the link in the description below. QPR wise, Marty Cifuentes will have some thinking to do in midfield, with Jonathan Varane suspended, especially if Jack Colback isn't fit enough for a return, meaning I'd imagine we'll see Nicholas Madsen pair up with Sam Field once again. Jake Clark-Salter himself is also a question mark for Tuesday evening, while we'll have to wait until the night to see whether Elias Chair and or Morgan Fox are themselves deemed fit enough for a return to the playing squad. It does feel like we need a win just to calm things down a little bit and show that we don't have any problems on our hands. And I really just want to see a good performance here regardless of what the result is. We've not really put two halves of good football together yet, let alone one, so I just want to see that this squad can do it. Hull City are finding some form and confidence though, so this is not going to be an easy one. So in terms of match prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Do let me know your own score predictions in the comments below, and I will see you in my next video for my Hull City match reaction. Come on, you Oz.